Andrea. Thank you so much for being a guest on the Elite Agent Talk. I'm so excited to have you here. How are you doing?
Doing really good, being really happy, really excited to be here, and it's an honor to be here with you today.
Thank you, Andrea. Yeah, well, we shared the stage at the National Sales Week, and you just really did a great job up there on stage. You had you were on the life insurance panel, and your passion that you have for the product and just for the brand too. We've known each other for a long time, but share us a little bit about how long you've been with an agency owner, Farmers, 15 years, and kind of how you got started and about your agency.
Yeah, definitely. It was great seeing you there. I was not expecting to see you part of the commercial panelists, but I was happy to see you there and share the panel with you. And I've been with the company for 20 years now, Farmers Insurance, and an agency owner for 15 years. I started very young. I was only 19 years old when I was introduced into the company. I was a client myself, came in to make a payment. At that time, we did not have the amazing auto pay option. It was either cash or check. And I was a client.
Oh,
And
wow.
my agent at the time, he loved the fact that I was bilingual. I'm bilingual in Spanish and English. And he offered me a job. I was working at Bank of America and I had just gotten back from the Army. I'm a U.S. Army veteran, and he offered me a higher salary. And I said, yes, let me put in my 2 week notice. And now the rest is history.
Wow. Well, thank you for your service.
Yes, you're welcome. Thank you. I love my country and I love Farmers Insurance.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, you started as a CSR there?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
No experience, just customer service, helping bring in the payments, quoting, and just the basic customer service.
And how'd you make the jump from just starting like that and then all of a sudden, all 5 years, right? Learning the
Yes.
business and then the agency ownership. Tell us a little bit about that transition.
Yeah, definitely. So it was a little bit scary. I was 24 years old when I decided to take that opportunity, and I couldn't say no. I said, you know, I know the company, I know the brand, I know how to run an agency because at that point, keep in mind, after 5 years with being with the company and at that office, I had learned, I had the experience. So I took the opportunity. I was given the opportunity by district manager at that time, Van Robinson. I know he was great friends with Darla, and I went for it. I got out of my comfort zone of having a stable paycheck and I decided to take the risk. And I'm very happy. That's one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life.
Yeah, same here. So that was 15 years. So I think we started around the same time, huh?
Yes, I remember seeing you in 2010. That was the very first time I met you. It was yourself, Michael Reese, and it was four other agents. I can't remember their names, but I remember you specifically. And it was exactly going on 13 years now that I met you.
Yeah, that was like another panel too.
Yes,
Yeah, I
yes,
remember.
yes.
Yeah, so did you get off to a good start in your career?
I did, yes. My very first year, life insurance is something that I'm really passionate about. And I became known due to the fact that we issued and paid 136 life policies. At that time, at that age, I didn't know what an accomplishment that was because for me, I just started writing the business. I just started putting in the policies. I started telling all my neighbors that I'm a farmer's agent. I just opened my office. Every single client that would come in, I would offer life insurance. And it was just something normal, like, waking up in the morning and doing your bed or tying your shoelaces because you put on your shoes. It was that simple to me. I would come into the agency and issue live, maybe sometimes 20, 25 in a month.
Wow.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank
it's like
you.
tying your shoes like it became like a habit, huh?
Exactly. Yes. Just something really normal, nothing out of the ordinary. Wasn't scared of the product.
So that was when you were new, 130 plus life policies?
Yes.
Like your first year?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
That's amazing. So did you have staff at that time?
At that time, I did have one full-time producer, and she did help me a lot. I would say she helped in with maybe 40% to of those policies, and those were basically all cross sells.
Wow.
Yes.
So has your process changed in the last 15 years when it comes to offering life insurance, or what would you say? Because, you're still writing that much per year. How has your agency and your life insurance process evolved?
So now it's just part of our basically it's become a culture. It really has become a life culture here at my office. I cannot imagine having staff that is afraid to mention life or is timid or is scared of rejection. We actually love rejections here at the agency. We have learned how to overcome those rejections. So, for example, the number one rejection we get is no, I already have life insurance through work. So I've trained my staff and I've trained myself because first as business owners, we have to train ourselves, change our mentality. And I've learned to, instead of asking, do you have a life insurance? Is we ask this way. We say, besides having a life insurance at work, who else do you have a life policy with?
Hmm.
And that's something that has, number one, help us overcome with that objection because you're already assuming that they have a life policy at work. And if they don't, guess what? Now you have that client thinking, well, I don't have a life policy at work. Why don't I have one at work? Because they haven't offered it to me. Now I have a life specialist in front of me offering this product, and now they feel that they need you create a need in their mind. So it makes them think, why don't I have a life policy at work? I need one. And if they do have a life policy at work, now you have them thinking, well, where I don't have one outside of work. And why not bundle it up? She already insures my home. She insures my cars. I'm pretty sure they have even insurance on their cell phones. Now is
Mhm.
the time to get some life insurance on the most important asset that they own, which is their life.
Wow. Yeah, that's it's so important what question we lead with. So
Yes.
besides, who else do you have for life insurance besides the one you have at work?
Yes.
And if they say, I don't have any, then you're like, oh, wow, oh no. And they kind of think like, yeah, I like that. I like the way you asked that.
Thank you. It has worked a lot. I would say 80%.
80%
Yes.
to
Yes.
to be able to quote them.
Yes. Yes. We
Hmm.
quote them right there and then. I keep a binder with all of our quotes. And believe it or not, Dan, I'm sure you know this, but the close is in the follow-up.
Mm.
I had one specific client, his name is Manuel. For 8 years, I had been asking him twice a year. He's one of those clients that likes to come in person. And he likes to come in and just chit chat a little bit, catch up about the family. And we build that amazing relationship. So we look forward to June and December. We know he's coming in. And I've told every single one of my girls throughout those 8 years, I've had different staff, and I've trained them to always ask about life insurance and just go ahead and start planting that seed. Well, with this specific client, 8 years, I myself and Emily herself had been asking him, we see that you're going to be renewing your autos in your home. What about your life? And his answers were always, no, not right now. I don't plan on dying. Maybe next year, So all the objections. And we never quit. We never stopped. We stayed persistent and not pushy. We stayed persistent. We truly cared. And last year, which was only a couple months ago, he came in December. And now I have Vanessa. She's new. She comes from Allstate. But guess what I did? I trained her my way. And she said, okay, I helped you with the auto renewal. I helped you with the home renewal. But I'm sorry, Mr. Manuel, I don't see a life policy in force. Who do you have your life policy with? Simple, right?
Hmm.
I walk into my agency and I see a blue sheet on my desk. And I get so excited because blue sheets means that my staff has produced a life policy application and I'm ready to type that up and close the sale. Well, I see the blue sheet on my desk. I lift up the blue sheet and I see the name and it says Manuel. I almost screamed, Dan. I screamed of happiness and I said, who closed this client? Who closed this client? And Vanessa says, I did. And I said, how did you do it? How did you do it, Vanessa? For 8 years, Emily and I have been trying to get him. My previous staff has offered it to him. And we've been telling him how important it is. He has children, he has a wife. And every year he says, next year, I don't plan on dying, not right now. How did you do it? How did you do it? And you know what she tells me? She says, I did what you told me, Andrea. I let him know that we helped him with the auto and the home, but I didn't see a life policy on file for him. And he said, sign me up.
Wow.
I'm still shocked to this day, Dan, because my staff, you got to lead by example. They see what I do, they listen to my calls, and it's just so amazing that they actually are doing exactly what we train them to do. And that 8 years of asking the same client, right? We finally got a yes because why? The Andrea Rivera agency did not quit, was not afraid of the objection, no. And we stayed persistent, even though we have gotten a no from that same client. But you just never know what life they are living, what changes are in their life. So for example, this client, what made him finally say yes
Mhm.
is that unfortunately he has diabetes now.
Mm.
So when I originally quoted him, I had quoted him around $40 a month. Now this time around, he went through the medical and of course the diabetes came up and the rate was supposed to be 57. Well, now his rate is $298 a month, and it's due to the diabetes. So that's another thing that I would love to bring up is that once you do have the cell, and once the policy comes back with a higher amount, is don't give up. Please let them know congratulations. So when I saw that the rate was going to be higher than what we had quoted, I mentioned to Vanessa, Vanessa, I did see that you offer him the $57 a month. And, unfortunately, he has diabetes. So now this is the rate. And she said, how are we going to close that? That's a lot. That's a lot more than the original price that I gave him. And I said, it's a done deal. I'm confident about it. I called him. I said, Mr. Manuel, congratulations. You have been approved. This is your rate. He did say that that was a little bit over his budget. He was thinking a budget of 200. I went back to underwriting, and since he had put in the application originally for a higher amount for
Mhm.
350,000, I asked underwriting if they can please quote it for a less amount. So it's around $200 around his budget. And they said, yes, he qualifies for 250,000. And I called him, I let him know. And he was just so happy that he was approved. And in a way, Dan, I wanted to say, I told you so. You should have gotten that policy 8 years ago and locked in your rate at 44. But this is a perfect example. It shows us a lot of things. It shows us to stay persistent, and it also teaches our clients and ourselves. It reminds us that there's no better time to obtain a life policy than now. We're not
Mm.
getting younger, we're not getting healthier, and the time is now. And it was just a nice reminder.
Yeah. Do you think it was Vanessa said something different, or just because it was persistency? Or well, like you said, his situation changes, so you can't assume, right, that they're gonna say no again.
Exactly, yes. What happens is that you and I have been in this business for 15 years now, and I'm sure you have clients that you have seen them, now have children, get married, and maybe now they even have grandchildren. Well, life goes on, just how we come to work every day. Our clients are busy living their life, building, more legacies, having kids, buying a house, buying businesses. And we can't just assume that the answer is always going to be no. We might have gotten a no years ago, or maybe 6 months ago from a client, or maybe 2 weeks ago. But every single call, we take that as an opportunity to offer life insurance, even if we've gotten a no before.
Yeah, like you
Yes.
said, yeah, it's persistency in the sales and the follow-up.
Yes.
So when she gave you that quote sheet, she already had quoted him and gone over like the term years and everything. Like, is that because you were kind enough to share the blue sheets to our district, and I took a look at it, but it doesn't have. Does it have like the actual? Are the producers actually doing the quote too?
Yes, so my licensed staff, they're all licensed for PNC, but my staff that I have licensed for life and health, they do quote the actual life insurance, but I don't want for my staff that are working on getting life and health not to have that opportunity. So I offer them $100 for the blue sheet, but they don't go over the coverages. So they
Okay.
don't go over the coverages or the product because we've been doing a lot of IULs recently. So that's something that I love to do. Like this is something that I do to do
Oh,
the
nice.
close. Yes.
Okay. So if they're licensed, then do they still do the blue sheets and give it to you or no?
Yes.
They still do?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, yes. Just because what I love to do as well is I love to get the opportunity to quote the beneficiaries. So I
Hmm.
love to go back and say, so and so has put you down as a beneficiary. I want to let you know that I'm their agent. My name's Andrea Rivera. Very nice to meet you. And I'm glad that so and so is being protected. But let's talk about you. Who do you have your life insurance with? I think in the future, once we start growing more with my team in regards to my team, I'm gonna let go of the blue sheet because it might be overwhelming then. 2 years ago, I myself, just one person, I inputted 154 life apps in 1 year.
Wow.
And I feel I'm getting to that time where I'm gonna start letting go. I feel like a mom. I am a mom actually, but I'm gonna start letting go and train my staff to do what I do and follow up with the beneficiaries.
Yeah, well, you've been doing it for so long. Who better to train them but you, you know? Because you have to become a master at it first before you t train your staff.
Yes,
So,
very true.
so yeah, $100 for basically for them providing the lead t
Yes,
to you.
yes.
Yeah, that works out really well. And I think that's kind of what I was talking to, because the new comp plan and just because I want to write more life policies at our agencies. I've been talking to a lot of great life agents, and Richard Salinas was nice enough to be on this show too, but kind of similar to what he does, you think?
I think so, yes. But when I started doing this, I had not heard of Richard yet. Then
Oh,
I
okay. This
heard
is
of, yeah, so this was before Richard, but then I did get to meet him during COVID.
Oh
So
yeah.
during COVID, farmers offered a training on life insurance. And I said, oh, wow, we haven't had that in a while, like just hearing of from another agent in a different state.
Hmm.
And I made sure to take the time and log in. And yeah, sure enough, I logged in. It was Richard, and he was doing the Zoom call from his office, which is a really beautiful, like, it looks like a house.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I said, "Oh wow, this is so unique! Just the way he runs his agency, and the way he gives control to his staff. Like he basically said one day, here's $50 for every sheet. I don't think he has a color sheet, but I do know he printed out a sheet." And he would offer $50. And he also gave me a really good idea to put, I think it was $100 that on his desk in a frame. And it says to his clients that come in and see him, it says, if I don't offer you life insurance, this $100 bill is yours.
Hmm.
And I thought, oh, that's pretty cool because if I'm sitting there as a client, I'm gonna want those $100. And if I'm him, I want to keep those $100 in my pocket. And it reminds him to offer life insurance no matter the age. And also, you just never know. It might be an older person, and you might assume, oh, well, they're already, 70 years old. I'm sure they already have a life policy or they don't need one. But they do have grandchildren, they have children themselves. So it's a good reminder to just ask everyone.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. Yeah, just asking and training your producers. What would you say to producers who kind of worry about, the closing ratio? Because out of how many people you ask, maybe you'll get some rejections, but do you have any messages to like producers who aren't used to doing that or maybe a little scared?
Yeah, definitely. I actually have two really good examples. So I myself, I'm a living example of how I train my staff is I tell my producers, you just never know who you're helping. My dad, he was 35 years old when he passed away in an auto accident on his way to pick us up from Knott's Berry Farm. He never made it. He passed away, unfortunately. And when my mom called the old state agent and asked about his policies, the old state agent said, well, he had earthquake insurance, he had homeowners insurance, he had auto insurance, but he had no life insurance. And that's when my mom would, she was really upset. She said, this is not like your dad. Um, Fortunately enough, he did have a small life policy that he obtained out of the newspaper. It was a form. He filled it out, mailed it in with the $11 check at that time. And because
Mm.
it was an accidental death, we did receive double the amount. It was a small amount, but my mom was upset. She switched over to Farmers. She's been with Farmers ever since 1996. And I'm sorry, 1998. It was 1998. And what I tell my producers is, do you want to be the type of producer, the type of person? I know this is business, but to know that you have a product to solve someone's problem. We're all going to die. This is a policy we're all going to need one day. People don't know if they're going to need auto insurance, but they still pay it. People don't know if they're going to need homeowners insurance, but they still pay it. People don't know if they're going to need cell phone insurance, but they still pay it. Life insurance, we know we're all going to need it, but it's the policy that people are more hesitant to buy. So I let my staff know my story, what happened with my family. I was only 13 years old. And to this day, now that I'm an agent, I wonder if that Allstate agent offered my dad a life insurance. And I'm sure that if he would have offered it, my dad would have said yes. But even if he said no, I believe it's our due diligence to ask everybody. And I let my producers know that also it's happened to one of our clients. It's happened to one of our clients that his wife came in and said, my husband just passed away. And he was 56 years old. I went in his file. The wife wanted to know if, her husband had a life policy with us. I knew right away, Dan, that the answer was no, but I still had to double check.
Hmm.
I went in the system, typed in his last name. He had general liability with us. He had workers' comp with us, commercial auto with us, home insurance, earthquake insurance, auto insurance, no life insurance. I checked the comments and I had offered him every single time he came in for every endorsement, every payment. And luckily enough, I had commented everything because I do believe that can arise an E&O claim. So I made sure I even went back to my file cabinet. It was when we still had, the paper trail, and there was no life policy enforced. And I knew the answer was no because I had offered him life insurance, and every time he rejected. And it was those same objections. I don't plan on buying. Not right now. Maybe next year. It's just, I don't know what's wrong with us, right? Like we
Mhm.
think we're going to live forever. But these are two examples that I let my staff know, I let my producers know, and it just really hits home because at the end of the day, we're not machines, we're not robots, we're humans, and we are compassionate. And I love to share the story. I know it's something very personal, but it's something that I've lived, and this is why I'm so passionate about life insurance. And it's if my staff is shy to ask or is afraid of the objection and it's afraid of hearing the word no, that's not the type of staff that I want in my team because you just never know what difference you're making to a family. And also, we're protecting ourselves, our E&O, by offering. Because I do believe that if that wife would have, if the answer would have been no, because I never did my job, she would have had a fair claim.
Mm. Well, yeah, thank you for sharing your story. It's really just puts things into perspective and really gives us no excuse to not ask. Like you said, it's like our obligation as our profession to ask. So just because you're scared, it's just not a good excuse. It almost doesn't qualify you as, a insurance professional.
Exactly. Yes, we do have a state license and it's our job. I mean, when have we ever heard of a real estate agent being scared to sell a house?
Mhm.
I mean, come on, like it makes no sense to have a life and health license and not put it to work and not do your job.
Wow, yeah, that's a great way to look at it, Andrea. Like an obligation, like a responsibility.
Yes.
Rather than like, oh, it's extra work or it's to make commission. It's kind of looking at that as like what's the right thing to do.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that. But it's a really powerful story, and I'm glad that the notes are powerful too. That you have the notes in there because that way you feel not good about the situation at all, but at least that you offered it because that would be a terrible feeling if something like that happened and it wasn't offered.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. So this is why I share those two stories with my producers. And it really opens up their eyes, Dan. It
Mm-hmm.
makes them think not just of their pocket, not just their commissions, their bonuses, but the family, that the fact that you'll be making a huge difference
Mm-hmm.
just by offering life. And it makes them feel like what's the worst that can happen? Like now they're not afraid of the answer no. They're not afraid of the objection. It's a challenge. We keep a folder. We all keep a folder on our desk and we call it our love insurance binder. And in this life insurance binder, because for us, life insurance is love insurance, it's
Mm-hmm.
just something simple like this. But we
Oh.
every single quote we have printed out and we put in also a note in the quote ban. So not only are we commenting on Apex now, we're commenting also on the quote. And if it says client said we'll speak with spouse, follow up in 1 week, guess what we're doing? We're following up in a week and we're asking, okay, did you get a chance to speak to your spouse about it? Would you like to make an in-person meeting with Andrea? And I don't mind that getting out of my office. I love it. I come to my clients' houses, I bring in some donuts, Krispy Kreme, and I come and meet with them. And it's 99% that you're going to close that quote. 99.
Yeah.
They're not going to say no to that.
Yeah, with Krispy Kreme, that certainly helps your closing ratio too, probably.
Yeah, like the Krispy Kreme.
Well, and your personality and then just your passion, I mean, that's just something that is a skill, definitely. But yeah, what are some other tips for agents like me who, write life insurance, but not nearly at the level you do. I really strongly believe that having the whole staff buy-in and having producers and CSRs, licensed or not, talking about it all the time and filling out a form or the blue sheets, actual
Yeah.
physical form, filling that out.
Yes.
So when they fill that out, what if they're not licensed and they don't have a quote? They still ask all those questions?
Oh, yes, because on the quote sheet, it doesn't say anything about coverage.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't say term IULs. You're not going over the product. And 50% of all the information on the blue sheet is already available for our producers in the system, such as the name, date of birth, driver's license, address, email. The other 50% is the simple everyday stuff, which is where do you work? What's the household income? Do you have any siblings? And we don't ask monotone. We are
Mm-hmm.
trying to build a relationship here because then it's going to feel like, what is this? Is this a dating app?
You have
Is
to
this
ask a
a,
lot,
why do
of
you care
personal
how much I
questions too.
make a year?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we try to ask like in a conversation, and that helps build a relationship too. I mean, I just had a client come in and renew his policies, and he brings us Starbucks gift cards every time,
Oh
or some
wow.
brings wine bottles. So it's nice. Like he doesn't only just bring it for me, he brings it for my staff too.
Oh,
So it's
that's
just relationship building.
mm-hmm. So once they fill it out, and the CSRs, they don't have the price ready, but they still get it filled out, and then they
Yes.
give it to you or another life agent, and
Yes.
then that's when you actually go over some options.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And once the policy is closed, the CSR has earned $100.
Oh,
And the
nice.
way I explain it to them is 10 of these equals $1,000.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
great.
Yes.
So it's
Yes.
not per app, it's per
Right.
close.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. And
Yeah.
it's just to motivate them, and they really love it. I believe 2 years ago, I had one of my newest producers. She referred 56 in
Wow.
1 year. So she made quite a bit of money. And on top of that, I sent her to Cabo for her and a guest, all inclusive, everything paid. And that motivated her for the following year. I gave her a commercial quota this time, and she hit all of the commercial quota.
Oh,
So
wow.
yes,
That's so
yes, so
nice of you.
it works. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I just, I've been on their shoes. I've been on their end. I've been the CSR. I've been the producer. I've been help, manage an office and run an office. So I know what it takes to motivate them, to get them to meet the goals. And that's what I love to do. Now
Yeah.
that I'm the boss, I love sharing the wealth.
Were you always like that, or is that something you kind of gradually like, started becoming like management style changed? What would you say?
I did not start off like this. No,
Yeah.
I had no idea what I was doing. I just knew that I was going to do it and just learning from other agents too. I love hanging out with the top agents, and it's not like I do this on purpose, but I feel like every time, we go to a toppers club, it's like, okay, who do I want to talk to? So I'll go sit next to them and just start asking questions. And we end up having a beautiful friendship. My best friend for 12 years, he's a farmer's agent, and he's, on the top 10% of farmers agents as well. And I learn from them, and I learn from my district. So my district manager, he does a lot of promotions, and every time he has a promotion, I share that with my staff and my team, and we go over the numbers. And I do something similar to them. So I piggyback off my district's promotions, and I got the idea from them and other agents. So it's just throughout the years. And it's been recent, maybe the past 5 years.
Oh, great.
Yes.
Yeah, it's so important to hang out and learn from each other, and be around positive agents because there's so many of us out there. But Yeah, I really love that. Because I really believe in that too. Taking care of our staff and being as nice as possible to them, and trying to treat them and making them happy. It just really goes a long ways. So I really share your values there.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, it's teamwork. They make me happy. I make them happy. And it works. It's been working.
Yeah. So what else do you think the obviously the life. Oh, then the retention too, right? I think you guys have a great retention percentage. You guys do a great job, and I could already tell because you're such a relationship based manager and agent. But what are some tips when it comes to like improving retention?
Yeah. So what we do is every single morning I have Vanessa for the first hour from 9 to 10 is she'll work the farmer's retention list, which is all the pending alerts such as missing signature, the pending payments, any missing documents, and also the mileage forms. So I
Hmm.
have her keep track of that because I let them know it's so important that we retain the clients because we work so hard to obtain them. Why would we want to, lose a household over something so simple that they change their bank account? And sometimes, clients are so busy, just as we are, except this is our job,
Hmm.
that they forget. They forget
Hmm.
to call us and let us know that they got a new routing and account number, a new credit card. So I've trained them from day one to take 1 hour from the day, or even sometimes it's only 10 minutes, because if they're doing this every day, Dan, it just becomes a habit that at one point you're not going to have that many people on the list. I do tend to see and look that every first and 16th is the busiest for retention.
Hmm.
And I believe because that's like the basic pay days, like the payroll days.
Hmm.
So what we do is we work all the alerts. Like I mentioned, Vanessa specifically, she focuses on missing documents and the mileage. So that helps with the retention because if the following renewal, the rates go up and it's due to the mileage form not being filled out, that client's going to begin shopping you. And guess what? As agents, we have the power to call the client and have them come in or do it over the email and help them with the mileage form. So that way it helps the client, it's helping your agency retain, and it's also helping the company because they're staying with us. They're staying with Farmers Insurance. So retention is huge for us. And it's something that every single day, there's not one day that we do not work retention. This is a daily thing. This is Monday through Friday.
Yeah, just like asking for life insurance, right? It's just a habit. It's like it's not like every once in a while or when you have time. It seems
Yes.
like the same thing with retention, but yeah, the alerts are going crazy right now.
Yes.
And I think it's gonna get even crazier as
Yes.
billing changes and discounts seems to be falling off all the time. But how are you dealing with everything that's going on in California?
Well, at first, I'm pretty sure, just like you, I was shocked with the whole FSA non-renewal. I'm not as
Hmm.
big as you, but I'm the second largest book in my district. So my district manager called me and he let me know over a Zoom call, like immediately as soon as he got the news. And I appreciate that. And that day, Dan, I was on my way to pick up the kids when it hit me and I just broke down. I began crying and I I was like, wow, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? But you know what? We are problem solvers. In less than a day, I had a solution and I put it in force. I gather up my team. I let them know what was going on. I was positive and we're doing it. So we're just staying positive and we have a plan in action. We're taking action. We're not just gonna dwell on it and, be mad about it. There's nothing we can do about it. Like we can have the company bring it back. But what we do have the power to do is find solutions.
There you go. I love it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it was Yeah, a big part of both of our book of business. And having all those policies non-renewed, it was pretty shocking for
Yeah.
us. But yeah, less than a day. That's really fast. How you kind of transition to um, focusing on the solution rather than the problem.
Yes. Yes. I know. It's just something that I knew I had to find a solution immediately, and there's no other way to do it. We got to keep on moving, and we have agencies to run and clients that depend on us. And
Yeah.
we've been doing really great, actually, Dan. We've transitioned so far within the first month of the non-renewals,
Hmm.
80% to farmers.
Oh wow. Okay.
80%. The other 20 we're brokering out.
Hmm.
But we are keeping track because hopefully one day we could bring them back to farmers.
Hmm.
I just really love the company. I would not want them outside if
Hmm.
it was my choice. But for now, that's what we're doing. That's the best solution.
Yeah. Same here. Yeah, that's a high percentage though. That's really good. You know, and
Thank
that
you.
that kind of really shows again the relationship you have with your clients
Yes.
because the FSA product was really low in rates. So now that you're rewarding them to farmers all the time, it's a pretty big rate increase, right?
Yes. I just couldn't believe it myself. The very first one that we transferred over, it was $700 more. And I remember Vanessa telling me, can you look over this quote? It's $700 more with farmers than FSA. I must be doing something wrong. I said, of course. I looked over the quote, everything looked good. And I said, Vanessa, it's just how it is. She comes from Allstate. So, um, I explained how when we quoted, we would always quote through both. But of course, we would offer, FSA if it was the best option for that client. And she said, I don't think we're going to be able to close it. It's $700 more. It's just, they're going to say no. Well, I had her call and put in the premium amounts, presented, she emailed it, and the client ended up paying in full.
Oh
And
wow.
this was before the requirement of pay in full. And this is what we said. We said that the market is tough out there. There's a 10 to 15-day hold with other carriers. We don't want them without insurance. They're actually going to be having higher coverages, which we did quote with a higher level of coverage. I do feel that we're more competitive when it comes to higher coverages versus other carriers.
Hmm.
And the client said, sign me up. She did not hesitate. She did not even ask why it was higher.
Oh wow. Yeah, that just shows like how much, you know, of a deep relationship you have, and probably shows how well you've treated that client throughout the years for them to have that type of like absolute trust in your agency.
Thank you. Thank you. That means a lot because you're right. A lot of time my clients say, Andrea, we're here because of you, or we're here because of your staff. And they give me such good service. Every time I call, they're fast, they're efficient. And even our reviews, we don't ask for them. We don't ask for the reviews. And it's just so beautiful. It's so beautiful to see the 5 stars and see my producers' names and how they're being treated. And it's great to see that the building relationships works. It really works. And it's not just for the sell, but for the long run. The renewals, the retention, which in my mind as a business owner, that's the pot of gold.
Hmm.
What's the point if someone writes 1,000 policies in a month, if 500 are going to be leaving you on the next renewal? There's no point. So this is why the building relationship part is so important in my agency. And I share that with my staff.
Yeah. Plus, it makes you feel good about what you do, I bet.
Yes.
You must be so proud of yourself, like all the people you helped and the staff that you helped. At the end of the day, you're just helping people.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It takes a lot of pride, a lot of consistency to do this. And I feel that you really see all your effort when you see your team grow,
Mm.
seeing them do more in life, seeing them grow in your business, seeing their commissions double the following month. It's just so beautiful. And, having their bonuses get to the 4 digit, over the 4 digit mark.
Hmm.
That's that's beautiful as an agency owner and just as a leader, because I do feel that we're mentors and our producers look up to us and they really do, they go ahead and grasp your energy. So coming in here with a smile, staying positive, it really spreads in your office. And
Absolutely.
yes,
Yeah, it all starts from, us. But to know that we're making a positive difference in your staff, it's even more important, than the commissions we make because the difference that we make. But yeah, I could just tell you're just such a great leader. And where do you get the positivity from? Is it just natural, or did you have to? Is that something you have to work on?
that's a great question. I've never had anyone ask me this question, but it's just, I mean, I don't know. I don't think I was born just being positive.
Because it's so important, with everything that's going on,
Right.
agents have a
Yes,
choice to be positive or negative.
exactly.
And so I think sometimes some agents like they do things to help them stay positive, and sometimes maybe it's natural. So just want to
Yes.
see how you keep yourselves
Yes.
positive.
Yes. Well, I mean, I do believe it comes naturally, but I do believe we have a choice every single day, Dan.
Hmm.
So when I go to these events and I hear gossip and bad talking, maybe about products or the company, I stay away from that group. I go to the next, or I'll go back to my friends that are positive, because I do believe that who we hang out with, what we read, what we do on a daily basis, it really reflects on us. And I stay positive by hanging out with other positive agents. I'm part of the Go Girls Farmers Insurance Women's Group, Empowerment Group. I'm part of the committee. I'm one of the leaders there. And all these ladies, I really believe, are just like me in regards to the positive mind. And the number one requirement to be part of this group is to have a positive mindset. And for me to have the honor, the privilege to be part of the committee and put together these monthly meetings is amazing, because when I go to events, what am I doing? I'm not just learning from my other business colleagues, I'm also recruiting. So if I meet an agent, she's positive and she's willing to share the knowledge and willing to listen and be part of this amazing group. I invite her to the meeting and she brings in more knowledge. She brings in her best practices that she does in her business, and we share the knowledge. We stay positive by vibing off each other and learning off each other. And we stay consistent with our meetings. We have monthly meetings, but we're also in a text group chat. And mostly every morning, every day, there's agents sharing knowledge. Like right now, with all the changes, Dan, I have a friend, Alex Prudencio and Andrea Webster.
Hmm.
They share with us what State Farm is doing, what Allstate is doing. We just learned that commercial auto is being eliminated by a carrier. So now we have
Mm.
opportunity to go off and market commercial auto and bring in the commercial auto and grow our businesses in the commercial industry and the commercial product.
Yeah.
It rubs off. Being part of the Go Girls Woman Empowerment Leadership has been a positive for me. That's how I stay positive.
Yeah, no, that's a great answer. I think all the agents out there, that's something that I really truly highly recommend. Have a group of agents that share the same values and are positive, and that's gonna help each other. Not only are you helping them, but they're helping you too. So that's what camaraderie, and I think that's the great thing about the company too, is that if we have each other to kind of help each other and support each other during challenging times.
Yes, exactly. Because maybe we don't have the answer, but maybe your positive,
Mhm.
right? Your positive business friend does have the answer, and they're willing to share that knowledge with you. Just how, now you earn my subscription to your YouTube channel. I am looking forward to looking at your videos because I feel that all the agents that you have in your panel have a positive mindset. If not, they would not be here.
That's so true. It's like there's so many similarities, with all the people, the great agents I've been able to talk to, but a lot of them, are all hard workers and all positive and all really care deeply about their staff and their clients. So it starts to seeing patterns, which is great. But that's interesting how the top requirement of that group is that, have to be positive. And the
Yes.
second one is that you have to be a female. So I guess that's why I don't get the invitation.
I know, which, that makes me wonder why they haven't come up with a male group for positive agents. I feel that would really benefit. And you as a leader, being part of the committee, that would be great because for our leadership team, we have president council agents in there, such as Terry. And then we have the support from the company. We always have Sean Kidd sponsoring lunch, the district manager sponsoring lunch, and it really helps us. And I feel like that'll be a good idea for you.
Yeah, but if I did like a guys only one, it might seem like a little like it wouldn't seem like it's like inclusive. Like it seems, it would seem weird that yeah,
I know what you mean.
it wouldn't
Yeah.
go the opposite way where it's like guys only can't join. If you're a girl, but that's kind of in the same way I try to do, with my agent friends too. Maybe it's not like a big group, but with smaller groups, and this is also a great way for me to get to meet other agents like you, and if I have life questions and stuff like that, then I feel more comfortable asking, and vice versa. We could continue to help each other.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for putting together this YouTube channel.
Yeah, well, Andrea, I'm so happy that you're a guest now. We could say that you're an elite agent, and just want to acknowledge you for, all the hard work you put into your community and to your staff, and helping your clients. It just comes from, when you're on stage, I could just see you're so passionate and so genuine about your intent to, protect people. And that's what we do. So, hopefully. Um, a lot of agents were able to listen to this, and me specifically, I want to share the story that you shared. You do a really good job of um, talking about it through stories, and why it's important through stories. And I'm going to be sharing with my team, and hopefully our life numbers go up, and if they do, then I'm going to be able to say thank you to you.
Yes, I'm excited. And yes, that would be beautiful. Please share my story. And you're welcome to share my personal story about my dad. Myself being 13 years old, waiting at Knott's Berry Farm for him. He never made it. Unfortunately, died in a car accident. The Allstate agent let my mom know there was no life policy in force. So I let my producers know, don't be the agent that was afraid of rejection, was afraid of no. You never know, you might make a big difference. This is a product that has the power to change a family's life forever when their significant other or their father doesn't come home that day. So it's really beautiful, it's really powerful, and I'm getting more agents emailing me, asking me for the blue sheet, calling my office, and we go ahead, we send it over. Just recently, I was a guest at my Crawley's district, and I had an agent come up to me and say, we closed 8 life policies last month in February due to your blue sheet.
Wow.
And it's just so beautiful. And they told me that before that they had zero production. And I'm like, this is going to be a life like changer, a game changer, because, now it's a requirement for us to get the higher commissions, 9.5. And I feel that if they keep it up, the 18 issue and pay requirement is going to be easy peasy.
Yeah, all of a sudden, all of us wants to start writing a bunch of life policies.
Yes.
But we should have
Yes.
been, yeah, we should have been doing that for the clients. But yeah, I think you got a great system, and that's another thing with all the great agents is that they have a system. So I really appreciate you for sharing yours. What's
You're
um what's next for your agency? What are some goals or what are some plans you have for your agency moving forward?
commercial, commercial, and I feel I'm in the same boat as you, where I see you recently got more into commercial, and I feel that I'm ready. I'm ready to grow. I recently had a meeting with Greg, and we met all of our commercial numbers last year. But I really feel that if I focus on commercial as much as I do with life, I feel that pretty soon I can be a panelist for commercial, not just the life. I mean, I don't have the passion for the commercial yet, but it's definitely something that I want to learn more about.
Yeah,
And
well, I
yeah.
think with Greg on your side, it becomes a lot more possible because that's the person that really helped us out.
Oh, good. Good to know because I'm starting to build a relationship with him. He started helping me since August of last year, and we closed a $68,000 workers' comp thanks to him. He helped me.
Wow.
The light manufacturing company for men's clothing, and that company just signed a contract with Walmart. So they're opening up a second location. And I'm just really excited. I feel like I'm starting to get the passion for it just because when the checks come in, when we get the folio, I'm seeing, I'm seeing a pretty big amount there. And that's motivating because I am a mother and I have a household to maintain, and I think the passion's coming.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. A
Yes.
bump on your folio never hurts the passion.
Yes, definitely. So yeah, I'm setting up a system in place with Greg and for this year. And I'm looking forward to growing my book of business and commercial. And you never know, maybe next year I'll be back on your channel talking about commercial.
Hey, let's put it on the calendar already. Because I
Yeah,
have no doubt that, once you put your mind to it, with your passion and your work ethic, that's anything is possible.
thank
But
you.
yeah, no,
Thank
I
you.
think that's the great thing about the business we're in. I'm really grateful for that we could just learn one thing, pass it on to our producers, and then we could learn other things, and there's just no ceiling in this business. So just really feel grateful with everything that's going on in the world that we're in this business and just get to make money while helping people. So you're just a great example of that.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you so much because you truly are someone that I admire, I respect. I see your stories every single morning, and I see you at the gym, and I see you reading books, and you really motivate me. I just need to let you know, and I'm not just saying that because I'm on here with you right now, but it's something that I've always wanted to tell you, and I'm sure you hear that a lot. And I really admire you and I respect your work ethic. It's amazing. Amazing.
Oh, thank you, Andrea. Yeah, no, yeah, I just think there's a lot of opportunity, great opportunities. So whenever there's opportunity, we got to take advantage of it, I feel. So yeah, just my way of trying to share with everybody, and that's what you did for us today, is to share what's working for you. But yeah, Andrea, I really again appreciate you for being on the show. And yeah, next year commercial. Is there anything else that we should have touched on that you want to share to the audience? Any last
Yeah,
words? Yeah.
I always have last words.
All right, go for it. Take your
I
time.
really, really want to share the fact that in 2020, as you all may know, we had the world pandemic of COVID-19. And what happened there is that's the year that we issued 104 life. And my mindset really changed when I went into the doctors and I had the receptionist ask about me having the COVID-19 vaccine. And then they would put me in the room, and then the other assistant would come in and ask if I had it already. And then the doctor finally comes, and then the doctor asks me. And I started just thinking, wait a minute, I I love this because they already heard no. The other person, I told them no. Now I'm telling the doctor no, but it just really triggered something inside me and it changed my mindset about life insurance. So I brought it back into my agency and I let my staff know flu shot. And they're like, what do you mean flu shot? Is she okay? Does she have a fever? You want to go home? And they're like, what do you mean flu shot? And I said, that's what we're going to do. We're going to look at life insurance as a flu shot. I want Vanessa offering life insurance. I want the second person in contact if they're coming inside the office, Emily asking about life insurance. Lastly, I'm going to be asking. So that year, after hearing no one time, two times, and then I would say, the client would say, okay, yes, let's schedule a meeting. And I don't know what it is, but you know what, Dan? It's the flu shot. I myself would say no, no, no. And I finally said yes to the
To the
vaccine.
vaccine. Uh-huh.
Yes, I said yes. After just hearing so many, do you have it? Do you have it? And I just said, you know what? I'm just going to do it. So I'm just going to start saying yes instead of no. And that just really works if you implement that into your agencies and remember to ask for it 3 times. And I know there's agents that don't get a lot of walk-ins. And recently we started decreasing our amount of walk-ins due to the
Mhm.
fact because of the pandemic. So now what we do is when they call in, we ask one time about the life insurance. And then sometimes they'll ask for their ID card. So when we're emailing the ID card, we include the life quote, even if they didn't ask for it. So that's twice. Then the third time is we send a text. Did you get a chance to review the life quote? Have you talked to your spouse about it? And we just say consistent. We follow up with the text and we just keep in mind flu shot and the number three with an X, which represents 3 times, at least 3 times for that client. We have to offer it.
Flu shot with the three explanation points.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a lot of
Yes.
similarities there. Just the more you ask, but then I like how you just kind of like brand it and kind of make it easy for your staff to remember and kind of have like a kind of like a slogan.
Yes. Kind of like a visual. Even
Mhm.
now, just talking to you about it, I'm visualizing the vaccine, like the meme,
Mhm.
like the little emoji, the
Yeah.
emoji with the vaccine. And I'm visualizing the three with the X, which represents 3 times 3 times. And it just really works. You start planting a seed that eventually, after so much, you will harvest.
So the first
You
one
will
is just mention
harvest.
it in person or over the phone. The second one is emailing them,
The quote,
and then the third one is text.
text.
So text,
People love text.
yeah, I like that you saved that one for the end.
Yes.
And then that one has the quote in there too?
No,
No?
no.
Okay.
When we text, we don't put it in the quote. But if we get any kind of response, we
Hmm.
do. And I even have the blue sheet in my
Hmm.
phone.
Hmm.
So that's when I get the yes or I'm interested, I go ahead and send the blue sheet by phone.
To them?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
yes,
Oh, wow. And you haven't filled it out.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah. Wow. That's just the persistency it takes, to win this business, I feel like. But you just can't ask one time and expect things to happen.
exactly. Yes, which is why we keep in mind flu shots
Hmm.
and 3X,
Hmm. And you
three
do,
times.
yeah. And then do that 8 years in a row.
Exactly. Yes.
You'll definitely get some results. So, wow, Andrea, well, thank you so much for sharing, what's working for you. I think it's just something that, again, with April 1st coming, for me and my staff, it's just something that has to be part of our system. And if you don't mind, I'm gonna, you know, take a lot. I've already taken a lot of notes, but implement them and then start using them. And I think all the other agents that were lucky enough to hear you talk today, I think they're gonna get a lot from implementing your processes too. So it's just one thing to have processes, but to do it with your enthusiasm, and your passion. I think that's what the difference maker there too. So all the agents listening to this, I highly recommend, getting that passion for life insurance and getting that enthusiasm for taking care of your staff and your clients. So thanks again, Andrea, for being on the show. And I really look forward to just keep in touch with you and continue to see you grow, because we start at the same time, and we kind of have similar clients and staff members, and just to see us doing well in the business is something that I love seeing.
Thank you. Thank you, Dan. It really has been an honor. It's always great seeing you at all the events. You're amazing. You're so positive, and I love speaking with you as much as possible. And I love sharing the knowledge that I have and my stories with other agents for the reason that I love life insurance. And I really believe we all need it. I mean, I've insured babies as young as 15 days old.
Hmm.
And that's because the mom already has a life insurance, the husband already has a life insurance, their current children already has a life insurance. So I've let them know how important it is to have life insurance. And I'm excited to see all of the farmers agents grow their book of business and life. But more importantly, I'm excited to see all these families protected because sooner or later, when the day comes that their loved ones will need this product, the answer from these agents will be yes. They did have a life policy in force. And that's so beautiful. And it just hits home to me knowing that us as farmers agents have the product available for our clients. Let's not be scared of the rejection. Let's learn to deal with the objections and let's protect these families and their loved ones as much as possible.
Briefly said, Andrea. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Have a beautiful day, and I'm looking forward to seeing you on the Life Panelists next year.
Okay.